system generally are putting heads together, as it were, to fight the dreaded disease. We promise you that we're going to continue with the discussion, but this time around to take a look at Nigeria in the global system, from Africa and the globe. Many people talk about the giant of Africa, how giant it is as far as health factor is concerned. And we're going to have that discussion. I still have with me Professor Abdul Salami Nasidi. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I have with me the spokesman of Mr. President, Mr. Femi Adesina.
Thank you.
Special advisor to the President of Media and Publicity. You're welcome to the program.
My pleasure.
Yes. I want to start with Mr. Femi Adesina. Still, revisiting Mr. President's address. He said some of the measures we have taken will surely cause major inconveniences to many citizens. But these are sacrifices we should all be willing and ready to make for the greater good of our country. And well, he just explained himself, but I remember last week your closing remark talked about the people now gradually realizing that it is for them, not for they over there, and we are here, nothing will happen to us. Yes, these are the issues, and Mr. President said it's for good and the well-being of the people. Whatever measures taken by the government is to seek sacrifice from the people themselves, just as the government does. How do you see this issue?
Yes, if we consider that the larger percentage of the Nigerian economy is informal. In fact, I've heard somebody say between 65 and 70% of the Nigerian economy is informal.
Informal, yes.
There are people who must necessarily go out daily to trade before they can eat. If they don't go out in one day, it affects the quality of their lifestyle. To now ask those people to stay in their homes for 2 weeks is a big sacrifice. Very, very big. And it's a sacrifice they must necessarily pay.
Yes.
At least to stay alive and to stay healthy. So, with the people having obeyed directives to stay indoors, it shows that they also value their life, their well-being, their health, their existence.
Yes.
And I also it's a good development in the country.
I'll come back to Mr. Adesina on that. There are palliative measures adopted by the government. But talking about the people, the government, and the sacrifice for their life, yes.
Well, this is a war that everybody must sacrifice something. So trying to introduce this new public health or measure, which is lockdown, it was not something that was adopted by all countries. For instance, South Korea is not locking down. South Korea completely used different strategy. And the strategy they use is what could work in South Korea. That's why I was talking about peculiarities. Yes, of our people, our
Which
nation.
Mr. President said we used our own methods to suit our own peculiarities.
Yes. So what did they do? They quickly did mass testing, identify who have the virus, take that person away into isolation, and quickly, control the virus and were ahead of the virus. But in countries where the virus had escaped, all we need to do is to do the lockdown. We didn't do total lockdown in the nation, but the president called on partial lockdown on most affected areas, hot spots, which is Lagos and FCT. This is excellent. And, during my earlier interviews, I said, look, this is fantastic, and that's the best weapon we have for now to control the virus. Keep it, because the virus doesn't have legs, it moves with people. But that if we are to use this weapon for it to be effective, so that we get the virus out of our country, the people must cooperate. The government must provide succor. to the people. As Mr. Adesina has said, many people are on subsistence existence, living. So if they don't have the, what do they call it, but, the means to feed today, tomorrow could be a problem, a big problem. But, in other communities or societies like ours, that we are not endowed with, wealth and natural resources, not just the government or individuals should play a role. Other organizations should play a role to help such individuals within the community.
Yes.
Everything can be government, everything can be individual. We have, leaders in, the Hakimi, Bale, all this, the leaders of the community. They will say, oh, listen, we have, in those days, I remember, if there is any big, emergency, the community leaders will come, they organize everybody. So they should think of how to address the most vulnerable. Two, is the traditional rulers. They play a key role in this type of something. So we should actually mobilize them, use them to reach such people. Then the third one is the religious group. We can't ignore them. In fact, Nigeria was missed out in the polio eradication. We will have eradicated polio much earlier. But because we ignored that other aspect of the fight, of the response, it was extended. Now that we brought everybody in and made sure that the community mobilization, community leaders, played this key role. The last one is the NGOs. Yes. I don't think there's any country with NGOs now like Nigeria. We have so many NGOs, so many, and many of them, to be frank, are doing very well. Many of the NGOs, they are doing very well. They are doing super well in HIV/AIDS control. You cannot believe that we brought down the volume of Nigerians with HIV/AIDS from about 3.8 million to now about 1.6 or something. And then even the prevalence. This is a huge achievement. So now, these are the things that I said we should now re-strategize, repurpose, and now address this enemy.
Yes. Yes, what I'm talking about addressing the enemy, re-strategize and what have you, the issue of sacrifice. I remember there are some palliative measures adopted by government, which Mr. President directed anchor borrowers, so many distribution of grains, and just on the news we had the chairman of the National Task Force, which the Secretary of the Government of the Federation talked about that. How are these palliative measures?
Well, let me start with this background. If you look at the United States,
yes,
in giving palliative measures to its citizens, it's going to spend $2.2 trillion. $2.2 trillion. That's a lot of money. But you can only spend the money you have. You can't spend what you don't have. Nigeria, unfortunately, has been run down.
Yes.
Over the years.
Even the security challenge, infrastructure,
if you
development,
know
and
the amount of money the security challenge has gulped, things that could have been in reserve. So Nigeria does not have a healthy reserve. Talking of foreign reserve, it was $29.5 billion when the Buhari administration came. It grew it and almost hit $50 billion sometime last year, but began to dwindle again due to some challenges this year. So by the time this coronavirus came, oil prices crashed.
Yes.
Budget benchmark was $57 per barrel. It dropped to as low as $30, dropped to $24, and then climbed up again. It oscillates between $28 and $30 per barrel. Where do you get the money for the palliatives? But the president has still tried, bent over backwards. Before his broadcast, he had told the finance minister that no matter what happens, make sure salaries do not fail. Make sure pensions do not fail. Those were his first instruction to the finance minister. Salaries and pensions must never fail, even if oil comes to $10 per barrel. So that shows you that that is a president that has a heart for people. Imagine if Nigeria had $200 billion in reserve. This president will take $100 billion,
yes,
and he will spend it at a time like this. But we don't have. But despite not having, he still came up with the little we could afford. Grains, those IDPs, he said they should give them 2 months ration. or food, which they have got. And then conditional cash transfer. He said, pay them double. Pay them for 2 months instead of 1. Those who are owing trader money, farmer money, and who are due to pay, give them moratorium for the next 3 months. And all such things. It's a school feeding program. Look at it. The children are not in school, but look at how they can still be fed.
Yes.
The ministry, relevant ministry, humanitarian affairs, disaster management, and social development is working that out. And I think it's a good thing that that ministry came shortly before all this. Because a lot of those palliative measures are going to be superintended by that ministry. Already, the ministry has swung into action. It's talking with governors on how they can reach all the school children so that the school feeding program can continue and all that. So, it's the intention that matters. And I want Nigerians to appreciate that intention and know that if there was more, this government will have done a lot more. I hear a lot of people say they should have paid money into our accounts if the money was available to be paid.
Yes, I know Professor Nasidi from our last discussion.
Maybe one final thing in that broadcast. The president said, remember to be your brother's keeper.
Yes.
Very important. Said, let's look out for one another at a time like this.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised because you have already addressed it in the speech when he said we adopt measures. This is peculiar to us.
Exactly.
And that is what is happening.
So, if you are there and your next door neighbor has 6 children and they can't eat, and you still have some extra, extend some to them.
Interesting, yes. And just as Mr. Adeshina said, there are lots of things that we will learn from this. And you said that in our last discussion. From this, then it brings out the symbiotic relationship between the government and the governed. How will you chip in this? It's not just fighting for our health, our healthy living and what have you, to drive away corona and whatever disease that might come subsequently. We don't pray for that, but we have to prepare for that. How do you see this relationship?
As far as the downtrodden is concerned,
yes,
whatever you are saying, whatever is in the kitty, whatever is in the national treasure, all they care is we want to see it on the ground. If they say there's party in your neighborhood and you are waiting, you don't see anything on ground, it's really not a celebration for you. So normally and luckily, the Nigerian people are good in keeping the neighbors. So how do you say it in neighbors keepers? Exactly. So but now, because of this their situation, the people are in state of confusion. In fact, there are some factors that can affect them, the psychosocial, all of a sudden, if I don't go to market, how will I feed my children and all this? And this is why I was saying there must be a bridge between the government and the governed. And that is, first and foremost, the governments will have good intentions to reach out to the people. So I want to say that everybody has a role to play in making the society to be living in harmony and happiness. All we are here is to look for happiness. So the role of the government is to make sure that the governed is happy. The role of the governed is to make sure that the government is empowered to be able to make them happy. So it's give me, I give you this. And so now this is a challenge. So we must bring our best out, to start now addressing those issues. The downtrodden should not be forgotten. As Femi has said, the good neighbors, the rich people within a particular community should come out. This is the time for them. The churches that get a lot of money, they should come out now and start not only what the government is giving. The government has done, okay, I'm doing this. What are you doing, Mr. Lagwaja? What are you doing, Mr. Pastor? What are you, Mr. Imam? What are you, Mr. Hakimi or Bale or Boefi, and so on and so forth. So this is the time everybody should come out. We shouldn't play with this.
Yeah, at the beginning of this discussion, I made mention of Nigeria in the global system. I remember I started to chip in something that Nigeria had perhaps do I say foresaw what was coming, made preparations and what to be, which the ECOWAS and the AU are adopting Nigeria's measures, especially this surveillance, health surveillance and what to be. Tell us in a nutshell what really Nigeria has been doing in that direction.
In fact, this is where I would say, we took the lead, and we didn't foresee that these big outbreaks will come and shock us. By the time we were coming out of the minor or the outbreaks like meningitis, like measles, like cholera, and all this, we were just jumping from one outbreak to the other, and we thought the normal government system, ministry system, it was not working well to help us, really fight this. And so we now started agitating for the establishment of what we call National Public Health Institutes. So where you just don't need to wait for the government mechanism, you start work. That's how you see the NCDC now really ahead of everybody, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. So you have Nigeria established a National Public Health Institute. And as soon as we established that National Public Health Institute, which we call Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Ebola came knocking. And within 24 hours of Ebola entering Lagos, we identified it. Within 48 hours, the NCDC lab we built at Luth could already take the sample and tell us that, yes, we're dealing with the group of viruses that belong to Ebola. And within 72 hours, with that information on our hands, we could mobilize everybody from the Minister of Health to the President of the nation to say, we have it here, it's dangerous. I remember the Minister of Health then was so worried. He asked me, he said, oh, listen, why are you saying that it is Ebola? I said, well, we are experts. You have to believe in our experts. He said, no, we have to wait for WHO to confirm. I said, if you wait for WHO to confirm, the virus will escape into the community and you will need more to fight it. Now, I told him, say, please inform Mr. President. And he did. Luckily for us, the then President accepted it immediately and declared state of emergency. So within 3, 4, 5 days, we were on top of the problem.
Yes.
So in short, with that, we could showcase how to fight a disease. It's like a war. Seeing that all African countries are saying, oh, Nigerians have done something good. The first to react are the West African leaders. Yes. They say, let's copy Nigeria. Let's establish our own ECOWAS regional CDC. That was done. We say, okay, let the Nigerian CDC help them. So we help them, and we have now ECOWAS regional CDC. As Femi has said before, if we are just thinking that we can fight the disease alone and we remain and it will last, it might not last. Look at the European Union. As soon as Italy, Spain, then England, then France, they say, no, this is not something that only individual countries can fight. We have to go regional. When that was done, African Union came in. They said, this is just something that we should not allow to go. Yes. We have to get they say, is it best practices? And then take it. So the best practices were taken from Nigeria. We were mobilized to go to Addis Ababa with the then minister, Adeole, to assist how to get the African Union CDC established. That is there now. So Africa is now no longer that type of, pity child that if something is happening, everybody must come and rush to help us. No, we are ready. We have the weapon. Between then and now, between Nigerian Center for Disease Control, ECOWAS Regional Center for Disease Control, African Union, we have trained hundreds, if not thousands, of manpower. Some of them with masters in public health, that are ready, at any given time to fight this type of situation.
You have a good surveillance mechanism, kind of.
In fact, the surveillance mechanism now we have is not just the type of surveillance mechanism you use the ordinary eye and ear also to follow, but we have, sophisticated laboratories that are ready to go deeper than what nobody thought Africa could do in the next 10 years. We are doing it now.
Yeah, this is giving more confidence to the people of Nigeria.
Yes,
I loved that. That was a very, very good news. Yeah, I think this is good news, Mr.
Yes,
Adesina. Maybe your final note on this. Yeah,
it is. It is, and like I said in the first part of the program, by the time the dust settles, Nigeria will have a lot to showcase. We will have gained a lot with all the funds raised and health infrastructure improved. We'll have a lot in our favor by the time the disease has been controlled.
Yes.
We'll have infrastructure, we'll have expertise, we'll have knowledge, all the volunteers will have been trained, and now Nigeria will be ready for whatever may come subsequently.
Yeah.
We pray these things don't come, but if they come, we will be ready.
Yes, your final note.
Our final note is to say we are happy that Mr. President has spoken. He has set the ball rolling, and we believe, Nigerians should hear and listen. Please, you have your own fate at hand. Nobody will help to save you in this situation. You have to save yourself. Listen to what has been said. Don't joke. Coronavirus, COVID-19 is real.
Yes.
It's killing in many countries, and we don't want you to be a victim. So this is my plea to Nigerians. And
we are confident you take care of future occurrences with these things that will be established on ground.
thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Should we continue to be confident as a people?
Inshallah, we should continue, the best you can do, and then you leave the other to God.
Yes.
But I think we are doing our best.
Nigeria is prayerful.
Thank you very
God
much.
bless Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Abdusalami Nasidi, for coming once again.
My pleasure.
And to contribute, yes. Mr. Femi Adishino, thank you very much, yes. Yeah, I was going to ask him, I hope Corona don't go to handsome baby face.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've been asking him to give me the recipe.
And he said,
yes.
Corona doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate, yes. Yes. Well, in our last discussion, I remember Professor Nesidi beat us to it. I thought I was the one who have it.
Yeah, okay.
Because you don't greet like this now.
Exactly.
So I perhaps let me give this. Yes,
And me too.
And okay. Yes.
Okay, it's okay.
This is just part of the campaign.
Yes,
Well, thank you very much. That has been Moment for Thought, and talking about doing away with coronavirus, and the future of the nation should be great and greater, so that we have economic prosperity and better health for subsequent generations of Nigeria and for Nigeria in general. Thank you for watching. I am Aliyu Bababaro. Goodbye. Thank you.